Happy Valentine's Day, all my friends. Hope you had a good time yesterday, but we're gonna continue having a good time because today I'm gonna show you my level transition thing, like you can see in my old basketball video. Last week I uploaded a whole blueprint that you can download and use straight into your project on my Patreon. So if you like what I do and would like to support me, go check out my Patreon and download the blueprint that I'm gonna show you right now. And it's quite cool, and hopefully you have good use of it. But let's just jump straight in, and I'm gonna show you how you set it up. And basically this is how it looks when you download the package and import it into your project. And it's a level streaming blueprint, it's a few materials, and it's a collection of data that you use in the blueprint if you want to. So how to set it up is basically you start with making your main level, which is the level that you will import all the other levels into. Let's open that up, and this level needs to have a few things. It needs to have, if you're using Aximmetry, it needs to have the Aximmetry camera, it needs to have the level streaming blueprint, and it also needs to have a post-process volume, because it's the post-process volume that does the whole transition effect. And make sure that the post-process volume has infinite extent, and that this has the post-process material. So then you can already see it working, pretty cool. And to make level streaming working, as it's called in Unreal, you have to go up to Window, Levels, and then you just keep adding your levels. And I only have, the starter map levels in this project, but it will do for showing purposes. So here's all our levels, and be sure to right click and select change streaming method to blueprint. And the next thing we're gonna do is go into the level streaming blueprint, and it's not much, but it's a bit. I'm gonna show you what the settings you need to do, and the first setting is at event begin play. It's to decide which level do you want to load first, and probably in our case it's and the first setting is to set the level that you want to start with, and in our case it's level A. And this just tells it to load level A and make visible after load. And continuing on, we have all the triggers for Aximmetry. If you're not using Aximmetry, you could just trigger it in whatever way you feel best. But in our case, it's we're getting a Aximmetry trigger, and we're calling it level 1. And this is how it's going to show up inside Aximmetry. So you get a button in Aximmetry which calls level 1, and all it does is trigger a custom event and loads level A and triggers the level transition. And so we named the map name exactly as the map name here, level A, and the rest is just another level, which is level B, and name it correctly as the name is in the map. And the next one is the starter map, which is named exactly the same. And this should be everything that you need to do. So let's fire it up and push play, and let's see if it works in Aximmetry then. Level B. It worked. And let's go to the starter map. Choo! It worked as well. Amazing. Amazing. Let's go back and stop this. probably turn everything off here. And we also have some settings, because it's like a sphere that moves in and out, and it's based on the position of the level streaming blueprint compound. So maybe if we zero everything out, where did it? Ah, here we are. Let's see if we can get it more centered. Yeah, cool. Pretty sweet. So that's how it works. Let's jump into Unreal again. And you also have a few settings here. You can just play around with them, but I think the color is the most important, and maybe the transition length. Just play around with it, have fun with it. And let's have a look if I can explain further how this works. So basically this triggers a material who looks like this, and I don't know, it's a mishmash of different materials material tutorials to make this work. But get in here and toy around. I'm gonna upload a few more material transitions on my Patreon, but this one is quite cool. So let's head back into the level streaming blueprint, and I will try to explain how everything works. So let's start with the event tick. So it starts with just collecting the position of the sphere or the level streaming blueprint into a collection of data, and this is so it always the center is where the level streaming blueprint actor is. And after event begin play, I just set the transition to 0, so it doesn't start with everything in blue or blue lines. And this is the same thing that we went through just a minute ago. And here it just records the parameters into the same data collection. So when you do changes here, it will automatically update when you play. As you noticed, after each level button click, it triggers a level transition. And here's the level transition. And the first thing is just setting the length of the transition. So basically it's a transition that comes in, and at the height of the transition the level changes, and then it transitions out again. So here's the first transition, which is just a timeline that goes down, and it drives the transition. And then it goes into the sequencer and it loads the level up. It checks for which level to load, and if this level isn't loaded, it will load the next level. And then after the sequence 0, we go to sequence 1 and we start the transition out. And then you just unload the level, so you don't have any overhead. And it's pretty easy, but pretty good, pretty effectful. If you want to grab a hold of this, you just go to my Patreon, and it will be able to be downloaded over there. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments, and that's all. Have fun.